to talk about how Crete fuel discount program works, give you a couple of real world examples, and look at fuel surcharge and IFTA. Let me flip this camera around. All right, so we got the fancy laptop out, and we'll try to walk through this a little bit. So I created a PowerPoint presentation for you, so hopefully this will come through okay. So Crete typically uses the big chains. They don't use small truck stops. So, all the common TA, Petro, Pilot, Flying J, Loves. And then you'll get a pump price. So in this example is $174.25. And the pump price per gallon is $3.089. However, the Crete price was 129.63. So the Crete price per gallon was 2.554. So here's the Crete price. There's the pump price. So the savings per gallon is 0.535, 53.5 cents. The savings for that was $44.62, which is 25.61% savings. Okay, got it? So this is the actual receipt. See the price per gallon, 3.089. If you look over here, price per gallon, pump price, 3.0809. The total, 174.25. Pump price right there, 174.25. The Crete price was 129.63. So it was, 25% savings on fuel, which is pretty good. It was 53 cents, 53.5 cents per gallon discount. Because Crete buys in volume. You got 5,000 drivers, they get a discount. So here's another example, Flying J. Okay, the price to pump was $3.199 for a total of $2.15. So here we got the pump price, $3.19. Crete price was actually 2.521. The savings was 67 cents 0.8 per gallon, 25% savings. Saved $60.63 on that fuel stop. So that's significant when you're buying $50,000 worth of fuel every year. That fuel discount's going to add up. And then you get fuel surcharge. So typically you'll get a message like this: the national average on highway diesel for the week was $3.35, 3.56. Fuel surcharge 33 cents, same as the prior week. Every week they'll adjust fuel surcharge. So it's 33 cents. What that looks like is added pay. And that's the fuel surcharge. That's $767. That's fuel surcharge. So in this example, loaded miles 2843, empty miles 429. The lease amount for what they pay was 3514 plus the fuel surcharge. So then the gross due the owner for 1 week, 4281. Now out of that comes your expenses. So here's the fuel card. You spent $1,144.81 on the fuel card. And then they'll make minor adjustment to the fuel tax that you owe. So there was a minor adjustment of $32.23. So then the net amount was $2,631 for the week, which is pretty good. They take out that maintenance, required maintenance. So I don't think that one had a truck payment on it. I don't see the truck payment on that one. Okay, so then here's the IFTA. So every time you get fuel, you'll pay your fuel tax. Crete does this automatically. You don't have to do anything. They'll tell you up here your fleet mile per gallon, 7.48. See the processing fee, 0. The threshold is 8. And in this example, I ran at 7.85 miles per gallon. So they calculate all that automatically, and then down here, you'll see my grand total I owe for adjustment $84.50 fuel tax. So Crete does that automatically. So that's the basics of the fuel program at Crete. It's really good. It's really attractive. That's why guys come to Crete. That's why they lease their truck to Crete. Is that you know they pay on a sliding scale. As far as the pay rate, you don't negotiate the rates, but the fuel discounts is what really attracts owner operators to come work for Crete. When they think about being on the spot market and using a fuel card from Nasty, you know, you get a bigger discount with the big box carriers. It doesn't have to be Crete. I'm sure, other big box carriers give the same volume discount, but that's where, if you have the right truck, you're an owner operator, you get a highly efficient truck for fuel efficiency. You take advantage of them fuel discounts, that fuel surcharge, and then you add that onto your pay for the mileage. So for example, if you put an APU on your truck, that's going to save on fuel. So these are different strategies you got to think about. It's not just about running miles. It's also about taking advantage of all the discounts that Crete has to offer. They offer fuel discounts, they offer insurance discounts, tire discounts, maintenance discounts, parts discounts. Every time I turn around, Crete's offer me another discount. And people say, why do you stay with Crete? Well, I do pretty good. Maybe you could do better somewhere else, but you do pretty good. And these discounts add up. They add up quite a bit. My gross for the year could easily be at least 200,000 for the year. And then when you add on all the discounts, if you had to pay out of pocket, full price for everything, you could easily add another 25,000. If you're trying to compare apples to apples, like say if you're going to go on the spot market, you know, you may have to pay higher prices instead of getting all those discounts. So you got to give Crete credit for offering those discounts. You can't just say, those discounts don't mean nothing, because those discounts do add up. So this is a big draw for the owner operators. Those fuel solutions, that's your biggest expense. Of all your expenses, of all your variable expenses, truck payment, insurance, and everything else, the one thing that's going to determine whether you're profitable or not is how much are you paying for fuel? How much are you saving for fuel? And as you can see with Crete, you're getting typically 25% savings on fuel. You can get anywhere from 53 cents per mile, 53 cents per gallon savings. I've seen as high as 75 cents per gallon savings. So typically what happens, you'll see the pump price, but you really won't know the Crete price until you look at your pay settlement. It's a little bit of blind faith there that you're going to be paying less than what the pump price is. Now, if you really want to know what the Crete price is, you call into the Crete fuel desk and then you can ask them. But most owner operators just know that they're getting a good discount. So this receipt isn't their true cost. They'll get this receipt, but that's not what they actually pay. This over here is what they actually pay. So this is why owner operators come to Crete. This is why owner operators stay with Crete. It's very helpful to run a small business when you partner with a big box carrier like Crete, because they're gonna do some things automatically for you. They're gonna give you a fuel surcharge. Is that added pay? Fuel surcharge. Now, if you're on a spot market, you'll have to negotiate for additional rate. If fuel prices go up and things like that. I've talked to many owner operators on spot market, and they say when fuel prices go high and they're negotiating with the broker, they'll try to get the broker to throw in an extra $100 for fuel if the prices are high. Well, at Crete, you don't have to negotiate. All that's already built into the fuel surcharge that they adjust from week to week. And then they automatically calculate your IFTA, report for you, and automatically pay your IFTA that you might owe. You're not going to have a big bill for IFTA. There'll be minor corrections, but nothing outlandish. So this is why, having a carrier like Crete makes it much more manageable. It's like you don't have to, bend over backwards to run your business. Crete's there helping you each step of the way. Here's the fuel tax right here. They'll automatically pull it from your pay settlement. There's your fuel card. And they automatically report that to the accounting firm. They use ATBS so that everything is seamless, and they adjust the fuel surcharge week over week over week. So this makes it much smoother operation. You don't have to worry about, are you overpaying for fuel? You not have to worry about negotiating for extra pay with a broker from week to week to cover additional fuel costs. It's automatically adjusted for fuel surcharge, and you don't have to worry about paying your IFTA because Crete does that automatically. So they make it as easy on the owner operator as possible, and that's a huge benefit because now you can focus on generating revenue. You don't have to focus on paperwork and reporting requirements. So I think overall, Crete does a really good job for their owner operators when it comes to providing fuel savings, fuel solutions, fuel surcharge, and fuel tax reporting. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the internet.